Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the show. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. All right, guys, today I am going to be talking about must-own players for round two. These guys can give you a massive advantage because the value is already starting to build, right? The further down we go in rounds, the better value you get for players that are going to give you extreme upside. And these are guys that are going to give you round one upside. Going in round two, this is going to give you a massive edge. I need you guys to make sure you're drafting as many of these players as possible. So I'm going to tell you who to draft in round two. That way you can get this massive advantage. But real quick before we get started, if you didn't see my video from yesterday, I am going on an epic best ball drafting journey this year. I'm going to be drafting 500 best ball teams on Underdog Fantasy. So I want you guys to follow me on this journey. Like I said, I'm going to be live streaming a lot of my drafts so you can get in on my drafts with me. We can draft together. It's going to be an awesome time. So make sure to follow me on this journey. I'm going to make sure that either myself or one of you guys in the community wins a major best ball tournament this year. We are on a mission to win a major best ball tournament, and I am going to stop at nothing to make sure that happens. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's get it. So, all right, round two. I've got 3 guys on this list. Now, I wanted to make this list a little bit bigger, but I really only saw 3 players in round two that I feel like we absolutely have to have because the draft value is just so unbelievable. And they give you, mid-range round one upside, right? So these guys are massive steals. So I'm going to start right here with the first player on my list, and that is A.J. Brown. Now, A.J. Brown obviously had a little bit of a down season last year. The offense was running through Saquon, and there were some ups and downs in the season for A.J. Brown. But the seasons prior, when the team was still pretty much constructed the exact same as far as the overall build of the team, A.J. Brown had back-to-back 1,400 receiving yard seasons. And even more importantly for best ball, this guy gives you one of the highest weekly ceilings. We all know that, for our best ball drafts, we're wanting to shoot for players with that, 1 week superhero, massive, crazy ceiling on a weekly basis. He's got that. He's displayed it several times throughout his career that he could come out and give you, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 9 receptions in a week. That's the kind of thing that wins for you in best ball because you need all your players to explode in week 17 to win a major tournament. So he's got the weekly upside. He's got the season-long upside. I see a massive bounce-back season for A.J. Brown coming this year. The Philly team is obviously going to give him plenty of scoring opportunities because his offense is absolutely elite. You got to think that the Saquon workload slows down a little bit just so they could keep him healthy, and he's a year older. I think that the Saquon volume is still going to be very good this year, but they're going to have to pass the ball a little bit more throughout the course of the season to keep their roster healthy. I love A.J. Brown to have a massive explosion season. He's going in round two. A lot of times either earlier or middle of round two. This is a massive steal. This is a guy who can give you the upside of a round one wide receiver. We've already seen that in the past. And he's going around two just because he had a little bit of a down season. Draft this guy and take as many shares of A.J. Brown as you possibly can. Next player on my list here is going to be Tyreek Hill. Now, this is another player coming off a down season, and that's a common trend when drafting great players with crazy upside that are going in round two. This is the reason they're going in round two. This is the reason that we get a tremendous draft value for these players. So, you look at Tyreek Hill, right? And you look at last season. Well, either Tua was hurt or Tyreek Hill was hurt. They were very rarely playing healthy together. Tua had the concussion early in the season, missed some time. The offense absolutely tanked after that and was terrible, and Tyreek Hill became worthless. There's nothing he can do about that. That's not his fault. It has nothing to do with the talent of the player. A good receiver needs a good quarterback to feed them the rock. When Tua came back, wasn't really as sharp, and even more importantly, Tyreek Hill was playing with a tear in his wrist. And so, these two players spent almost the entire season either with Tua being hurt or Tyreek Hill being hurt, they very rarely played healthy together. So, this is going to change this next year. Tyreek Hill got his surgery. Tua is going to be almost a year removed from that concussion when the season starts. Both these guys going into the season healthy. Look for a massive bounce back from Tyreek Hill. I know that he's a little bit older, and that's another reason why he's not being taken in round 1, but he's still got one more good year in him. Trust me, this dude is 1 in a million, and he's going to provide you some pretty extreme upside this season. I mean, if you look at how the offense is going to operate, obviously it kind of runs through Devon Achane now, but they need a wide receiver 1. Tyreek Hill is that guy. Dude's going to absolutely explode. There are a lot of people telling you to avoid Tyreek Hill. Don't do it. Draft as many shares of him as possible. This is your opportunity to get a wide receiver that could be a top 5 overall player in fantasy at the back end of round 2. What a steal. Yeah, grab this guy. As many shares of him as possible. Next player on my list is going to be Jonathan Taylor. Now, this is a little bit contingent on who's the starting quarterback. I want the starting quarterback to be Anthony Richardson for the sake of Jonathan Taylor, because we've seen over the years what a mobile quarterback does for an elite running back. And it always works out like this. Who were the 2 best running backs in fantasy last year? Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry. Other than being like 2 of the most talented running backs in the world, what do both those guys have in common? They both have elite rushing quarterbacks that provide a threat for themselves to take off out of the backfield and make a big play with their feet. This keeps it to where teams have to stay honest. They can't sell out just to stop the running back, and it ends up creating massive running lanes for the running back to absolutely explode. So, look, if Anthony Richardson ends up being the starter and we have a mobile quarterback and an offense that I think can outperform expectations, Jonathan Taylor is going to explode. I mean, we saw it late in the season last year. He won a lot of people a lot of money in best ball last year because of his late season explosion games. And look for that to happen again. This dude has tremendously high weekly upside, just as much as Saquon or Derrick Henry or any of those guys. The dude's weekly upside is absolutely ridiculous. Now, if Anthony Richardson doesn't start, it's a little bit different of a situation. I still like Jonathan Taylor, but he's more of a guy that's appropriate to go in round 2, whereas I think he should actually be going at the end of round 1 if Anthony Richardson is playing quarterback for the team this year. So a lot remains to be seen with that. If we get a little bit closer to the season and we see that Anthony Richardson is not going to be the starter, then keep drafting Jonathan Taylor in the second round. It's fine, but we're not going to be able to get as excited about him. If Anthony Richardson is the starter, you're getting a player in Jonathan Taylor that's going to get you round 1 upside at the back end of round 2. So these guys are all 3 massive steals. Make sure to draft as many shares as you possibly can of these guys, and it's going to help you win your fantasy league tremendously. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, we're drafting 500 best ball teams this year, so follow me on my journey. Subscribe to the channel. I love you guys, and peace out.